global business updates, Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Abasi. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning to all our viewers out there. Going to begin with Asian markets. Look, you notice our headline says it's mixed. The Nikkei just kept oscillating while we were capturing this data. It was negative, positive, negative. But look at that, 0.1% in the positive region. I won't be surprised if after we captured this, it went negative again. You heard Dr. Abati talking about President Trump on the phone call with Xi Jinping and Takaichi. They want the Chinese want Takaichi to rescind her comments about what she said about Taiwan. She has stood firm and said she will not. So, I mean, Trump, I think, came in, and I understand it was the Chinese that wanted that phone call, but either way, he's tried to calm the waters. So you had this, oscillation for the Nikkei, which was on a holiday yesterday. Also, China put out a notice to airlines to cut flights to Japan. But a lot of this, I think China is just postulating, because a lot of these, it's Christmas time now. They are doing their own Dirty December in Japan. Japan is a huge tourist destination for a lot of Chinese. There's a lot of skiing that goes on in their mountains in December. So a lot of these flights have been booked already. To now tell them to cancel flights because you are fighting with their prime minister is a tall order. Anyway, we'll see how that works out. But for the rest of the Asian markets on the up and up, we're going to be getting Alibaba results later today. So that, of course, was pushing up, because Alibaba says their new AI bot is getting like 10 million downloads or so. So we'll see what happens to that end. But by and large, it was pretty open. Now, for the U.S. markets, this is Christopher Waller. He's a part of the Fed. He's been pointed out to be possibly the next Federal Reserve chair. He boosted markets yesterday. Remember, I gave you a quote from John Williams, the New York Fed governor, on Friday. So he was on Fox Business yesterday, and here he is calling for, amplifying his calls for a rate cut in December.
Yeah, so since our last meeting, we've gotten no public data, or very little public data, but most of the private sector and anecdotal data that we've gotten has said nothing's really changed. The labor market's soft. It's continuing to weaken. Inflation didn't turn out to be quite as bad as we got when we got the CPI report, when we look forward. So in that sense, for me, I don't think inflation is a big problem going forward. It's going to start pulling back. But the labor market is still weak, and we're getting no evidence telling me it's rebounding, despite what the jobs report for September said. So my concern is mainly the labor market in terms of our dual mandate. So I'm advocating for a rate cut at the next meeting. January is going to be a little trickier, because we're going to get a flood of data that's released. And if it's kind of consistent with what we've seen, then you could make the case for January. But if it suddenly shows a rebound in inflation or jobs, or the economy's taking off, then it might give concern to at least look and see, or be more cautious. So I think just because of that, you may see more of a meeting-by-meeting approach once you get to January. But I still don't think the labor market is going to turn around in the next 6 weeks.
So the markets like what they heard. U.S. markets yesterday were on the up, and look at this, driven mostly by the tech-heavy NASDAQ, up by 2.69% there. And I also included the Russell 2000, because you've got a lot of small cap stocks that are very interest rate sensitive. So whenever you hear dovish comments on possible rate cuts for the U.S. markets, the Russell 2000 index tends to react very positively. It was technology stocks that really boosted the market yesterday. Tesla, Elon Musk put out a tweet. I guess we won't read it because of time, but he basically put out an email saying that if you are into chip making and chip manufacturing, send an email to Tesla. He says Tesla has been making their own AI chips, so they were up 6.2%. Alphabet was up 6% yesterday. The CEO of Salesforce, a software company, came out saying that he's been using ChatGPT for like 3 years now, but he used Gemini 3.0 for the first time. That's his tweet, and we had to block it out because he used an expletive. Holy something. I've used ChatGPT every day for 3 years, spent 2 hours on Gemini 3. I'm not going back. The leap is insane. Also, if we go back to those tech stocks, what are the reasons why Alphabet was really high yesterday? We understand that Meta is planning on buying their TSUs, and these TSUs are supposed to be competing with NVIDIA's GPUs. So basically, Alphabet with this Gemini 3, and I'm very excited to use it. They haven't rolled it out to Africa yet. I'm still using Gemini 2.5. But Apparently, this thing is really, really intuitive and it's supposed to give OpenAI and ChatGPT a run for their money. Amazon is planning on spending $50 billion on AI infrastructure for the US government. So you saw their shares climbing by 2.5%, Meta up by 3%. So we'll see if this lasts. By the way, Nvidia was up yesterday, but their shares have fallen in after-hours trading on the news that Meta wants to purchase chips from Alphabet, and Alphabet looks to be coming, as the parent of Google, looks to be coming up as a challenger to them. So we're seeing some, the boxing gloves coming out in the AI space. I think we'll round off with Nigeria. It's already on the front page of this day newspaper. Oh yeah, the stocks continue to slide in Nigeria. So yesterday, the all-share index down 8 basis points to 143,614. The market is still up 39.5, but remember, at some points we're up 50% so far this year. So we'll see if the NPC decision moves anything in the markets. But yeah, if NNPC, I think you've already touched on this, 88% growth in their revenues, 45 trillion, net profits at 5.4 trillion. And then the goals that Mr. Ojulari has talked about, they're looking at 60 billion in investments by 2030, 2 million barrels per day of oil by 2027, 3 million barrels by 2030, and about 12 billion cubic feet per day of gas by 2030. So, and then the NPC decision is today. And the markets are pointing to a cut. So we'll see what decision about 2 p.m. this afternoon, what Governor Cardoso and the rest of the NPC decide.
Okay, Rogers, thank you very much. NPC decision today at 2 o'clock Nigerian time. We'll be listening to Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, Governor of the Central Bank.